T minus 60 seconds. T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the 5 Foot Viking podcast, where we get to drink beer and learn something new. Today, we might not be learning as much as I hoped, but today is an interesting day. We'll get into it in a little bit, but before we jump into what we're going to talk about today, I just wanted to let everybody know that you can always visit the 5footviking.com, which is a landing page, and you can look at the Instagram and the Twitter and the Facebook and the YouTube, and you can watch or listen to all of previous podcasts. Today I'm on podcast number 17, which is kind of cool. I don't know. I'm enjoying it, and I'm learning something every single day. So and also there are links I get asked every single week, so I say this every single week. There are links in the description below and above for a lot of the gear that I use, some of the microphones and the arms and the cameras and stuff like that, which is kind of cool. So you can get back there and check some stuff out. Also, before we jump into it, I wanted to show you guys I'm working on some stuff. So I wanted to, and I'm freezing. I think I'm freezing. I'm sorry. I'm still trying to work out this whole internet thing here at the house, and but hopefully you guys can see at least. We got a couple people jumping on. Eddie Stevens, good to see you, buddy. How are you? Holly, how are you? Miss you. Hope you're well. But I want to show you. So here is a sample picture of some merchandise that I'm going to be coming out with pretty soon. This is going to be the t-shirts. So the t-shirts will be a crew neck for the gentlemen and a V-neck for the ladies. And they are going to be black, and they're going to have the 5 Foot Viking logo on the front. I'm debating. I want to ask your guys' opinion. I'm thinking about maybe putting skull on there somewhere, maybe on the back, maybe underneath, maybe on the sleeve. I think that's kind of cool. Cheers, skull. Why am I frozen? Oh, that's frustrating. And then here is the hoodie sample. We're gonna make it some pullover hoodies as well. Yeah, so just to let you guys know some stuff that is coming. Oh, come on. I just updated my computer and everything is completely frozen. Tons of fun here. Oh, I think I need to upgrade my internet. Maybe that might help. I'm not sure. But you can hear me, Eddie Stevens. You can hear me. Thank you. I appreciate it. I like that. Eddie, sleeve maybe. Front is perfect as is. Just like playing bass. Yep. Less is more. Yes, indeed. I thought about going a little bit big with, the merchandise, maybe saying, using the logo, maybe using some sayings, putting I even thought about putting a what are those called? The QR codes. You can scan it and take you to the website, I don't know, some fun stuff, but yeah, it might be a little bit too much. So maybe just the logo on the front and maybe skull in there somewhere. I think that'd be kind of neat. Um, but yeah, I that's some stuff that's coming right now. And so to jump into the beer of the week, ladies and gentlemen, I get to use one of my newest pieces of merch that I just picked up. It is a 5-foot Viking fridge magnet bottle opener. I just got these made. If you can check them out, I like them. They're pretty neat. But um, I'm trying to put a bunch of stuff together. So some different merchandise, some different options for people to support the channel. I don't know if anybody caught the 5-foot Viking podcast last week with Taco ZK. That was a massive production for me. And we'll get into that a little bit. But first, let's talk about this beer. This beer that I'm drinking tonight is the Stone Viking Space Probe Hazy Double IPA, 8.5%. I just, my wife pointed this out to me and she's like, you have to try this. So I'm going to be drinking this one tonight and see how this, hey, that bottle opener works fantastic. And definitely have my Viking mug as usual, which I think I might be trying to work with some different mug choices for some different merchandise in the future as well. And as always, if you guys have any suggestions for merchandise, I'm all ears. I love hearing you guys' suggestions and what's going on and different things that you guys want to see. Let's jump back into some of the comments here. Yes. Okay. I love it. I need one of those. Yes, these are so far so good. I've got this one here. I've got one on the fridge, and I've given out a few here and there just to see how people like them. If they work well, they work well. They seem to look great. So looking forward to that. Mr. Edgar, I appreciate you jumping on. You're good with the bandwidth. That will help from time to time. Even the fastest internet speed, Skull. Okay. I appreciate you. I'm not really sure because when doing these live streams, I've been learning something every single time with cameras, with microphones, with interfaces, and right now at my house, I literally just have the regular, Spectrum internet, and I'm thinking that I probably should upgrade. I don't know if it's an internet thing as far as like the freezing or the live streams, or I don't know if it's a computing thing. Like if my computer needs to be a faster computer, if that makes any sense. I don't know. But if you're out there and you're listening and you know about this stuff, please, please, please reach out to me. And I would love to hear how I can improve the overall experience. But so let's try this beer. It is a 8.5% Stone Viking Space Probe Hazy Double IPA. So, Skull. Oh yeah. Once again, that's going to get you there. I'm a huge fan of Stone Brewing Company. They're out in I think they have one in not too far from my house here in Huntington Beach, but they have one in Escondido. I think that's the big one. And Marlene and I have gone there and we've taken the puppies and they have a nice little garden and stuff. And we go out there and we have a couple different beers, try some different beers. They have some merch there, but they have this really nice garden where you can get some food and hang out. And even just a few months ago, I think we went in November. And man, I'm telling you, we try new beers, and it's one of those places that gives you just a great ambiance, a great feeling. You kind of sit down, you're outside, good food, good beers. Can't say enough good things about them. And I'm not getting paid to talk good about them. I just am talking good because they're a great company. I love their beers. They have so many different types and brands and stuff. Eddie jumping on again. I traded equipment to new stuff from them at no cost, and my speed doubled because my equipment was too old. Oh, okay. That might be. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I've had this modem for, I don't even know how long. It's been a long time. So the modem might be a problem as well. And I think my My router is a pretty fairly new um a fairly new router, so I'm pretty sure the router should be fine. My dad jumping in here. Love you, Dad. Thanks for being here. Skull with his vitamin water zero. I love it. All the way up in Utah, drinking his vitamin water. Um, and yes, indeed, Artie. What's happening, brother? My favorite Viking. Appreciate you being here. So you know what? I wanted to. I threw something out on Instagram today. Just last minute. My wife is so supportive of this. And she's, you know, when I have questions, I bounce a lot of ideas off of her, and she's really, she comes up with great ideas, and sometimes I'm reluctant to go forward on them, and that's just me being stubborn because I'm a stubborn guy sometimes. But she had a really good idea today, and she said, "Hey, put it out there," because I was kind of struggling with doing this tonight because I've been in school, as most of you guys know. I'm at Arizona State University, and I had a rough week, a really rough week. It was the end of the week. I was doing my finals. Um, Unfortunately, I got everything. I did all my finals. I did all my stuff for my marketing class and my other class, and I'm getting an A plus in one of the classes. I'm super excited, and I knew that the marketing class, I was kind of struggling with that one because the textbook was annoying. It was annoyingly difficult to maneuver. Plus, everything's online, so it just wasn't. The textbook was rough. So I worked really, really hard, and I ended up, at the end of the day, I've got a 79.4% in the class. I'm gonna email the professor. Hopefully he can give me a B minus. I don't know. I'm just gonna myself at the mercy of the court. Hopefully I can get a B minus, but it was frustrating looking at that percentage, and I'm like, but yeah. And then last week I had this really, really great podcast at Decades, and it was a big production. So there was a lot of moving parts going on. I had 3 different camera angles. I had a really good friend of mine, Zach, who was running the cameras for me. I did the audio. I interviewed all 3 owners of Taco ZK, and that was there was a lot of things going on. There was a pop up with Taco ZK out on the patio, so you can eat. You could come in and have beers at Decades and literally sit down and watch the live podcast. There was a lot of moving parts going on, and it was a big production, for the biggest production that I've done so far. It was so much fun, but man, it took a lot out of me. It really, really took a lot out of me. So, you know, getting to this week, I was just kind of on burnout, with finals and all that stuff. So, to make a long story longer, my wife decided, she told me, she said, "Hey, why don't you put it out there on Instagram? Let people know maybe they have some topics that they want to talk about." And a lot of you guys responded and with some really good stuff. And I'd love to touch on some of the stuff that was sent, but also there were some great ideas that I want to move forward with them in future podcast and really build a whole show around some of these ideas. They were great ideas. We got a couple more people jumping on right here. Bill, how are you, sir? Google speed test and run the test. That will tell you what your speed. Okay, I do need to do that. But here's my question for anybody that knows about internet speeds and stuff. I know there's the download and there's the upload. So if I'm doing a live stream, what is more important? Is it the upload speed that's more important, or the download speed? I'm pretty sure it's the upload speed that is more important for me, because that's what I'm sending all of this out. So I'm assuming that's what it is, but I'm not really sure. We got Eddie. Marlene is the best thing ever happened to you, my brother. She's awesome. I would have to 100% agree. I would not be where I am if it wasn't for her. She's amazing. What do we got here? Where's Marlene? I like when she is on talking about shoes. That's true. I think we should base a whole podcast around Marlene and her shoes, because that will be it'll have to be a 2-part podcast, because she has an awful lot of shoes. So and Bill, upload speed is key. Okay, so that's what we need. That's what I need to look at. I wonder what my upload speed should be. Oh, here we go, Eddie. Upload is more important, 10 to 20 minutes, or maybe megabytes. I don't know, something like that. There's some type of unit of measurement, but I think right now, if I'm not mistaken, I'm at the minimum, so it's probably 10. Um, I wonder if I can call up Spectrum and get, and maybe they can hook it up a little bit for the 5-foot Viking. That'd be pretty awesome. Oh, minimum. Okay, minimum. And Marlene says, "Hey y'all," she's in the other room right now. Always supporting. Appreciate you. So let me jump into a couple of the things that we're talking about. The first one said was a mental health check-in, which, to be honest, this struck a chord with me because I kind of needed it. I would like just so on overload with a lot of stuff, but I I'm hoping that everybody out there in the interwebs is doing okay. Uh, there's a lot going on, especially with the world kind of opening up a little bit more, getting back to normal, if normal, if that means anything, or if we even remember what normal is. But been playing a few more gigs, which has been a blessing. It's been good to be back on stage, not just for not just for making some money, to provide for the family, but also just to get that creative the creative juices going, to get out there and actually and play and jam and perform some of my passion. It's been good to be able to do that. But um, with the topic of mental health check-in, I just wanted to let everybody know that I put this whole thing together, the 5-foot Viking podcast, because it's somewhere where we can still stay connected and have some fun and some interaction. And I want you guys to know that this isn't just I was trying to classify the show, and I'm like, it's not a comedy show. I don't think it's really like it's not necessarily like an interview show, even though I do have interviews, and even though it is funny sometimes. But I think I would classify it more as an educational, conversational experience. I don't know if anybody has any ideas out there. I'd love to hear what you think you would classify this show as. But with that being said, the show is the show, and we have fun and we do some stuff. But if you guys are out there watching, listening, and I'm no psychologist, but and even though my wife might disagree with me, I am a fairly good listener, and I just wanted to put it out there that if anybody's listening or watching, and if you just needed to chat about something, if you personally need a mental health check-in, shoot me a message. I would love to chat with you. I would love to hear about what's going on and see if maybe there's ways that I can help you. Who knows? That's what I love about doing this and checking in with people and building this network and connecting with people that I normally wouldn't connect with. So, with that being said, just want to throw it out there. If anybody needs to chat about anything whatsoever, my door's always open. So, a couple more comments. Mark Leverton, how are you, sir? Good to see you. Always good to see you. Can't wait to see you in California. My good friend, Matt Dunbar, man, I miss you, buddy. Congrats on the final. Yes, that was here's the thing though. I got summer school coming up in just a little bit. I'm trying to rip the Band-Aid off and really get this done. If I work really hard, I can probably have my bachelor's by next year. So it's an awful lot more work than I expected it to be, but yeah, it's fun. So thank you for that, man. I appreciate it. Me and Matt go back till like 6th grade, man. Drama with Mr. Schlitt. And God, we had some fun times back then. That was good. A hodgepodge of discussions. Yes, indeed, there is. There's a lot going on. and tonight is literally just about that. It's about having some fun. It's about talking about whatever. I got a couple different things that we're going to touch on as well. Um, Donald, I love this. Crowd participation and interaction is big. People need platforms where they can relate and release sometimes. Yeah. And I love that. I love that aspect of the 5 Foot Viking podcast. I know I have some friends who literally I go live on Tuesdays and I do this and we have the interaction. And but I have a friend of mine who listens to it, and he listens to it on, I think, Thursday or Friday, because he has a long commute. So he'll listen to it on Apple Podcasts. And it was funny because one time he hit me up on Saturday. He's like, "Hey man, what happened to the podcast?" And I forgot to upload it onto the audio. So it just made me feel really good knowing that some people are out there enjoying the show and learning from it and having some fun. And oh my gosh, Matt, from 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade at Royal Oak Intermediate School. We've got some stories, man. Me and you have some interesting, funny stuff that we did, from throwing water balloons at buses. And we were trouble. We were dumb kids. We were in gymnastics. This one was great. The nunchucks. Oh man, that's a story and a half. Long story short, I made some nunchucks out of a broom handle. Like, I took a saw and I cut it, and I drilled a hole, and I put rope through it, and I made them. And I was like practicing, and I didn't know it was illegal to take them out. So Matt hit me up and he was like, "Hey dude, can I borrow your nunchucks?" I'm like, "Yeah, go ahead, take them with you." So he ended up getting like stopped by the cops or something. It was pretty bad. Like, stopped by the cops, put into a back of a police car, like all that. You were in like 8th grade, I think. That was yeah. Sorry about that, bro. Hey man, I didn't tell you to take them outside. Like, that wasn't me. That was my good neighbor, Brett. We were up until about 4:30 or 5 in the morning last night drinking, celebrating the the end of the final, and that whiskey. It didn't help me get a lot done today, if that makes any sense. And Matt, yes, yeah, brought in handcuffs. Oh man, and you were in like 8th grade. That's crazy, man. That's awesome. It was pretty good. We got some interesting. Actually, I should have you on the podcast, and we should just talk. We should just tell stories one night of all the dumb shit that we did in in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade at Royal Oak Intermediate School. That'd be pretty cool. So another one that I got from a good friend of mine, Mr. Edgar Hernandez. He posted this. He said, "What do you do to improve your mood when you're in a bad mood?" And I'm going to pose this question to everybody who's watching right now as well. If I think that I could say that before some of the shutdowns, I think I may have done different things. I think during the shutdowns, to change my mood, I think to be honest, if I'm being 100 with you guys, a lot of it was just drinking. I kind of went a little bit too far on that end for the first couple months, but then I had to tone it back a little bit and get back into working out. But I think before, I used to go surfing a lot. I haven't been in the water in a while. I think I need to get out there and go. It's funny because I live so close to the beach. Like, I live less than a mile from the water. And it's so funny because when I used to live in like Glendora or Covina or LA, and people would tell me that they live close to the beach, I'm like, man, if I lived that close, I would be at the beach every day. And now that I live at the beach, yes, I do go to the beach sometimes, but not even as much as I feel like I should. And I think that is something that I need to do more, but I know that absolutely changes my mood, especially if I can just dig my feet into the sand. That I remember hearing something about grounding, about connecting. When you're wearing shoes and you're not connected, but when you can literally just dig your feet into the sand. For me, just standing there, hearing the waves, something like that, that is like a massive mood change for me. For me, anyways. I've done little things like if I'm in a bad mood, work out, or if I'm in a, physical things like that. But one thing, like lately, things that I've learned a lot, especially from like my friend Kathy Groover. Um, she is fantastic. She has so many great tips. Um, but like to change your mood is like some of the meditation tips that we got from her in, I think it was the podcast number 7, something like that. Um, she's got some great tips for how to meditate and things that you can do literally just in your car or in your house, small things that will bring you back to center. And for me, if I'm in a bad mood, I have to just recognize that I'm in a bad mood. And if I can recognize where it's coming from, it's a little bit easier for me to get past it. um, I like this. Darcy, how are you? Miss you. Interesting perspective on beach. Same for us on the mountains. Yeah, absolutely. Um, uh, I One of the fun things about living here in California is that we're close to a lot of stuff. We're close to we're close to the beach, we're close to the mountains, we're close to the desert. There's a lot of things that we're like an hour away from everything. Definitely a different type of mountain that I'm sure Colorado has much better mountains than than down here. Um, but yeah, we got Jose. I think for to change his mood, he plays darts or Jenga or giant Jenga. That was fun the other night. Um, I got some great people coming in here. This is awesome. Um, Here we go. Darcy, one more time. How are you? Hi, Fred. Yes, we love learning from you. Oh, come on. Thank you. Um, you may know the answer to this question as far as the marketing book and class goes. What are the copyright dates? That actually, I would have to look that up because the marketing class that I took was, I'll tell you what, I learned a lot from his lecture. His lecture was great. He was kind of a dry teacher, but it's because it's online. Um, it was very video lectures and PowerPoints and stuff like that. And I pretty much had to do everything myself. I had to be here in the room. I had to be disciplined to do it. Put my headphones on, listen to the lecture, take my notes, do everything. The problem was the book was a little rough. That was a tough one. Um, let's look at Donald. And just so you guys know, I'm horrible at reading. I'm absolutely horrible at reading. So I'm going to do my best. I'm actually practicing. So Donald says, I got to say 100 yourself and the rest of the band really helped me get through this pandemic. Your live shows gave something to look forward to. That's awesome, man. And that's really good to hear. And I really appreciate that because when we first came back from the cruise last year in March, and then we thought we were not going to have a job just for like 2 weeks, and then it turned into a very very long time. We had to think outside the box, so we did some live streams, and I'm just glad that people that it helped. I've received a lot of different messages from people over the past few months, just thanking us for the live streams, looking forward to it. Still people going back and rewatching some of the live streams because they're still up on Facebook. You can still go to the band's page and look at some of the live streams that we did. It's funny because I can go back and watch them every now and then. I'm like, wow, like that's it's interesting to see what we did way back then. So, but I'm glad that helps. Brett, I make it a point to find one good thing out of any bad situation or problem that I come across. I immediately feel better thinking about negative circumstances in a positive aspect. I like that idea very much, and I kind of feel like it's like a glass is half full type mentality. So things can be thrown at you just like things are thrown at everyone every single day, and if you can find something good in that, that's yeah, I love that outlook. That's a great outlook. Um, we got my dad. Make a mental list of things you are grateful for. Gratitude alters attitude. I like that very much. The same thing. Glasses half full. Think about the things that you're grateful for, and that'll 100% change your mood. Uh, I like that. That's a great That's a great way of looking at it, Dad. We've got some more people. I'm sorry, I'm trying to jump back and forth, read comments, and actually have a conversation as well. But once again, everybody who's watching, seriously, thank you for spending your Tuesday with me. This is a lot of fun. I got some great stuff coming up in the next few weeks. I have a few guests that I've been reaching out with and contacting and figuring out some fun stuff. And eventually, I would love to do another one of those of the podcast at Decades, because man, it was just so much fun. But at the same time, it is a big production. It is a little bit costly too, and everything is kind of out of pocket. So, we'll see. I can't do it all, yet. Maybe I'll get signed to like CBS, and I can be like a broke ass Conan O'Brien or something. But Donald, one more time, it says, for me, it's coaching. I love to work with our youth and give them a positive outlook. See, that's awesome. The fact that you can turn it around. So you might be faced with problems yourself, but if you can turn it around and give them a better perspective and think positively, that's just going to change your mood 100% right there. Robert, how are you, sir? Good to see you. The first 9-hour live stream was epic. Yes, holy shit. That first one that we did, I think we started at like noon or 12:30 or something like that, and we went till like 9 at night or 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. That was a crazy live stream, and on our Facebook page, we even have like pictures of us afterwards, and we were beat up, tired. We had some pizza, and it was just that was a rough one, but it sure was a good time. So, and Darcy, yeah, let's talk about your badass live streams. What the fuck? Now I'm needing 5 to 7 hours in Fantasy Springs, and we get here's the thing: you're gonna get 2 hours, but we're playing 2 days in a row, so that I think that's a good thing too. So total of 4 hours, but that's we're just very grateful to have some things opening up. And so that was one of the things that we got. Let me take a look at here's a good one. I got another one from someone on Instagram, and they said, "What have you learned in college, and how can you apply those lessons to your life?" Which I think is really interesting. That's a great question, especially for my okay, hold on. I've been talking a lot. Skull. That is a good beer. Really good beer. So I got my AA degree from Golden West Community College in business. And I got it back in 2018, I think, 2017, something like that. And I didn't go further with that. I wanted to go to Cal State Fullerton and get a bachelor's in communication. And when I found out how much college cost, I said, no, I don't need it, because I wasn't going to school to get a degree to go get a job. I was going to school because I wanted to take the lessons that I would learn in class and apply them to my own business. So the amount of money that was going to cost to go to Cal State Fullerton didn't make sense at that time for me to spend that much money on an education where literally I'm just going to I don't care about the piece of paper. It's going to go up on the wall, which is great. It's an amazing accomplishment. But I was more after the lessons to apply them to my own business. And so I didn't go to college. Then with when the shutdowns happened, I found that I had a lot of time on my hands. So I had the opportunity. And like I said at the beginning, maybe I drank a little bit too much and hung out and partied and stayed home. But you can only do that for so long before you decide, like, hey, I need to push away from that table for a minute and let's do something with my life. So my wife was also, once again, very very supportive, and I was thinking, I was talking with some friends about I really had an interest in marketing, a really interest in digital marketing, in print marketing, in advertising, and so I reached out to my guidance counselor from Golden West, who's a good friend of mine now. His name is Damian Jordan. And if anybody out there is going to Golden West Community College in Huntington Beach, reach out to him, because he is the best counselor there. He's just, I think I should have him on the podcast, and we should talk about how to plan your educational path. But anyways, I reached out to him and I kind of told him like, hey, I know I got my AA in communications in business, but how difficult would it be to change gears and go for advertising? And he literally just jumped out of the box and was thinking about, okay, you can do this and this and this. And so we ended up applying for Arizona State University online, obviously, and I'm going now for a bachelor's degree, and it's called interdisciplinary studies, which is basically exactly what the question is. It's about how do you take lessons from here and apply them to here, and how do you take lessons from here and apply it. So it's like, how do things overlap? So my degree, interdisciplinary studies, has two focuses. So it's like I'm getting a bachelor's degree in two focuses, which is communications and sales and marketing. So I've been taking some communications classes last semester and this semester. I just took my first marketing class, which is, I learned a lot from it. But I think I learned more from the PowerPoints and the PowerPoints and the lectures than I did from the book. The book was rough. So, but yeah, some of these, and I'm so excited to go back, and because I still have all of his lectures saved, and all of his PowerPoints, and I'm really excited to go back and take these lessons that I learned in his marketing class and apply them to my band, all the different bands that I play with. Really want to apply some of these marketing lessons to the 5 Foot Viking and see what can happen with this podcast. My goal with this was to start it on at the beginning of January and do a podcast every week for the whole year, and at the end of the year, see where I'm at. And if I'm doing good, great. If I'm not doing good, great. Like, it was just more like, let's have some fun with it and let's see where it goes. But these lessons that I'm learning with marketing, I'm literally just transferring all these lessons over to my personal life, my business, what I'm doing. I'm learning about some of this merchandise. I'm learning about and I gotta say, I have to put out a big, giant, huge, massive thank you to Mandy, who is the marketing director over at Fantasy Springs Casino. She's been one of the first most positive driving forces for the 5 Foot Viking. When I told her the idea, she just got behind it 100%, helped me out with all kinds of different things. And I've been picking her brain. She's so knowledgeable when it comes to marketing and branding. And so I've been picking her brain about how I can move forward with branding my image, branding my podcast. So I'm super excited about that. And yeah, the way that a lot of this stuff overlaps is pretty fantastic. So I guess that would be one of the things that I learned. Let's jump back into a few more of the comments here that I'm seeing. My wife, Damien is the best counselor ever. This much is very true. Wish I had someone like him to guide me after high school. It would have been a game changer. That's very true. For anybody who is getting out of high school or maybe just starting your college career, find a mentor. I would just recommend finding a mentor, finding a guidance counselor who really doesn't just, point you in a direction, but really listens to you, sits down, gets to know you, gets to know where you want your path to go. He was just amazing. Darcy, I know we are all loving the live stream. We are grateful you helped us all through this terrible time. Yeah, the live streams. And here's the thing about the live streams. Actually, I want to do some more. I think I might even talk with the guys, and in the future things are starting to open up, but we have created such an incredible network of, and I call you guys family and friends, because you are literally across the United States, and actually internationally now too, which we have some friends internationally that have been watching the live stream. So I'm going to talk with the guys and see if we can do another one soon, just to do one, just to have some fun and check in with everyone. So another question that I got is, and I thought this was pretty interesting, was musicians getting back on stage, do's and don'ts. Uh, and that kind of, I mean, that that made me think about a lot of different venues, because there are certain venues right now that are opening up for musicians that and we have to be depending I don't want to get too political, which I'm not going to, but there's some people believe you need to wear a mask and some people believe you don't. um, for musicians, when we're at venues, we have to abide by what their rules are. So if and there's a lot of places that are opening up slowly, and they're allowing us to play, which is a great thing. And one of the hardest parts too is that sometimes we're playing at big outdoor events. I get it. Some people don't want to wear a mask. I get it. Unfortunately, at a lot of these venues, you have to. And so it means a lot to us as musicians that when people come out, it may be uncomfortable, you may not like it, but the only way that we can keep these venues going at this moment is if we abide by certain rules and regulations. And unfortunately, that's what it is, and that's what we got to do. So, and to me, if that's what I have to do in order to get back on stage and do that, then that's what I'm going to do. So a lot of these places are still they're slowly changing, and I think a lot of the venues have um, their own. There are mandates put in place at, I think, on the county level and the state level, but I think a lot of the venues kind of take it upon themselves as well, and they have certain regulations as far as social distancing and masks. I think that's probably one of the biggest things to pay attention as far as musicians getting back on stage. Which, to be honest, I think it's for right now, it's kind of a small price to pay in order to get back on the stage and perform. But with that being said, I'm no expert in that field, and we'll see what happens moving forward. California is definitely much different than places like Florida, places like Texas, places. There's different rules and regulations for venues in places like that. So I can only speak on what I know of out here in California. I've only played now for a few venues in the past couple months. A lot of it has been at the Fantasy Springs Casino, which has been great. They're incredible for opening up and keeping live entertainment going. And the good thing is we play a lot there in the Rock Yard, which is a big outdoor event. There's 2 stages, 2 bands, big stage, lights, sound, camera, all that good stuff. And so I think it's a little bit easier to social distance in a venue like that, but also depending on how many people show up. So I think that that would probably be the biggest thing when it comes to musicians going and getting back up on stage and stuff like that. So here we go. Bill, I love this. I'll put on a full hazmat suit. Is that meant I could be back on the cruise watching you guys play? Yes. Tell you what, if they said we can jump on the cruise tomorrow, if we all wear hazmat suits, I have a feeling that everybody on the cruise would be wearing like crazy, ridiculous hazmat suits that are decorated with neon and like 80s hazmat. Like we'd all look like we're in ET. Oh, that'd be good. Let's so that was I think that'd be one of them. But I'm curious. I'm going to pass the question on to you guys. For those of you that are going out and seeing some bands play at some venues and stuff like that, what are some things that you're looking for as far as musicians getting up on stage, do's and don'ts, things like that? It doesn't have to be mask related. It could be social distancing. It could be places that are opening and how they're going about it. I know there's a couple of venues that are still doing car drive-in venues and drive-in performances, and a lot of the outdoor things, but the indoor ones, I'm kind of curious what you guys think on that level as well. And let's jump into this next one. So All right. So um, this one was pretty cool. Got me thinking. Someone posed the question: what do you wish you did this past year that you didn't do? Um, and that definitely comes with a lot of reflection. I I actually took I kind of went and did a lot of stuff this last year. I had a lot of downtime, and I tried to utilize it to the best of my abilities. And at the beginning, maybe I didn't utilize it as much as I should have. I was having a lot of fun making videos and drinking some beers and hanging out with Marlene. And but after after hearing this question, I kind of thought about it, and I played a couple live streams. I learned a lot. That was when we were doing the live streams. I was really focused on trying to figure out how to give everybody the best quality pictures, the best quality video, the best quality audio. So I learned a lot about how everything, the technical side of it, which is, um, like left brain, right brain. I've got the creative side. I think I get it a lot from my parents. Both of my parents are very creative, but also very analytical. So I think I have a healthy balance between that, being creative, but then at the same time understanding how to do the technical side of it. So I actually, the beginning of the live streams is where I really learned a lot about how to plug in stuff, how to get the audio to go from the interface into the camera. We First time that we did it, we literally just took a phone and we pointed the phone and we're like, all right, go live. Like, and we didn't sound great, but we learned. And then I moved forward and we got this thing called an iRig that you can plug into your PA system and it comes down and it plugs into your phone. So, we started working with that. And then moving forward from that, I started getting into the podcasting. And that's really where my education took off. And I started learning about interfaces and microphones and compression and plugins and software. And but then going from there, jumping into school and doing that, and then jumping into the 5 Foot Viking. I feel like this last year I did an awful lot. But that being said, reflecting on this past year, what is there, if there's something that I didn't do that I wanted to do, that would be write and record a solo album. I've wanted to do that for a long time, and I don't know what is blocking me. It's definitely something inside, because I know I've got the talent to do it. And I think that I'm making too many excuses and pushing it, and I keep putting it on the back burner. Like, oh, like I got to do something else before I can do this. I got to do something else before I can do this. I don't know what I'm afraid of, but that's something that I wish I would have done last year. Was I have a lot of great songs inside this brain of mine, and I think I need to put pen to paper and get past whatever's blocking me, and because I really want to share it with everyone, and I think that'd be pretty cool. So I would have to say that's something that I wish I would have done last year. But thank you for giving me this question, because it helped me reflect on that, and now I can realize that that is a place that is a lot more important to me than I thought it was. I didn't think it was very important because I kept pushing it off, and I kept making excuses. But after reflecting on this question and thinking about it, I'm kind of like, I need to make that a priority. I need to jump into that. Not so much that I need to. I want to make that a priority. I think that would be pretty incredible. So that's something that. So and at the same time, I'd love to pass the question off to everybody out there in the interwebs. What do you wish you did? Hold on. Like I said, I can't read. What do you wish you did this past year that you didn't do? So, reflecting on this past year, if you had some time off, or maybe you didn't have some time off, maybe you still worked through a lot of 2020. But looking back at that year, is there something that you wish you would have done that you didn't do? I'd like to know if there's something out there for you guys. So a couple couple comments jumping in here. We got Bill one more time. Do follow the rules or don't go. Yeah. Uh, and we're going back to the do's and don'ts part. Don't be an ass if you don't like it or agree with the rules. I get you. It's a rough one. We're all trying to enjoy, and not everybody sees eye to eye, and it's okay. It's okay if we don't see eye to eye, but we got to be able to communicate. And I think that is another podcast that I'm gonna come up with. My communications professor from Golden West, her name is Katie Bruns, and she was amazing. And as much as my wife says that I didn't learn anything in her class because because Marlene every single day is like, you don't know how to communicate. You didn't learn anything. You should get an F in that class. She's gonna yell at me as soon as I get out there. Oh, it's gonna be great. But uh, I did learn a lot in that class, and I loved her class. It was interpersonal communications, and I think I talked with her today. I'm going to reach out to her and see if she can come on the podcast and maybe give us a few examples of how we can communicate better. Which I think that would be. I think that's something that not only myself, but I think our society really needs those lessons right now. We're everybody's jumping down everybody's throats about the dumbest shit, and and my wife, can we stop throwing Marlene under the bus, please? I love you, babe. I appreciate the support, and you know that I'm not the greatest communicator in the world, but I'm learning. I think that would be a great podcast, having my professor on and talking about some communication. Let's So the last thing that I got message that I wanted to talk about. This is a fun one. Work experience versus traditional education. Because when I asked about having different topics for the podcast, I believe who was this that sent this to me? I think it was Alex, my buddy Alex Skull. Alex, he was talking about the difference between having experience or jumping into the workforce versus going to college, like entrepreneurship versus getting a degree type thing. And I don't know if I guess personally, this is just my personal opinion on that. I don't know if there is a better or a more valuable, because I think that they are both equally valuable in their own right. I went the opposite of the traditional way. I jumped straight into the workforce after high school, where a lot of oh, there he is, Alex Skull. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for the topic. Thank you for interacting and sending that to me. I appreciate you. So, I mean, me personally, I went straight into the workforce. I was working in high school. I was working at Donut Man in Glendora. That was my first job. But I guess I can back it up a little bit more. I actually started off as an entrepreneur, and when I was 12 years old, I started mowing lawns. And I think I was 12 or 11. No, I was 12. So we had a lawnmower at the house, and we had all the stuff that we needed. And me and my dad, when I was a kid, we would wake up every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. and we would mow the front yard and the backyard. We'd mow it, we'd edge, we'd clean up the grass because we didn't have a grass catcher. So I had a rake. So yeah, that's how old I am. So my dad would mow, and then I would rake, and I would do the edging, and then we'd sweep the driveway, and then we'd go to the backyard and we'd do the backyard. So, and we had to work really hard to get everything done before 11 a.m. because that was when wrestling came on, WWF, or WWE now, but it was WWF. And we would get back, and we'd get back on, and we had to get everything done so we could come in. And my dad would make me a big glass of Kool-Aid, and it was the fruit punch Kool-Aid. And we put like extra sugar in there because it tasted really good. And then we'd watch wrestling. And then during the commercials, we would wrestle. And when we wrestled, it wasn't like high school wrestling, we would wrestle and commentate ourselves. I mean, hey, I was like 10 years old. So we'd be the commentator as well. So I grab my dad and I'd be like, and he throws him into the ropes. And I throw my dad into the couch. And then he would bounce off the couch and come running back. And then I would be like, clothesline. And I would hit him and he'd fall down. And, it would get up on the couch and jump off and pin each other. And then all of a sudden, the wrestling show would come back on. And I'd be like, okay, time out. We got to watch Hulkamania and stuff like that. So, but anyways, I'm going down the rabbit hole on that one. But I learned a lot. My dad instilled a very good work ethic when I was a kid. And so I learned about, I learned how to do all the lawn mowing and stuff like that. So when I was 12, I was like, well, I want to make some extra money. I didn't really get an allowance or anything like that. So I wanted to make some money and do some stuff. So I went around to some people in the church, in my church, and I said, hey, I'll mow your lawn every Saturday, stuff like that. And I got to give it up to my mom for helping me out so much as a kid, because she would drive me from place to place. So every Saturday at that time, I was 12 years old. My brother I think at that time, my little brother CG was doing the yard work at our house. And then I would take like half of the tools and stuff like that. And we had this other mower, and we'd load it up into the van, and my mom would drive me to this house, and I would cut their lawn. And when I was about almost done, when I had like about 15 minutes left, I would call my mom, and she'd come over and she'd pick me up and take me to the next house. And I had 4 houses that I was doing. I think I was doing 4. I had 4 houses that I was doing every Saturday, and I was making, I think, $40 a month per house. So it was like $10 per Saturday per house. So I was making, like $160, I guess, something like that. Yeah, is that what it is? 40 times 4? Yeah, $160. $160 a month for a 12-year-old in 1989, which was so that was my earliest way of working. Was I was an entrepreneur at such a young age, but then right out of high school, I jumped right into the workforce. So I kind of like learned everything backwards, which is interesting right now. So fast forward to right now that I'm actually in school. And when I was taking some of these business classes, and I was taking in these marketing classes and these things, now I'm learning the definitions and all the verbiage to everything. But I already learned the lessons 20 years ago, if that makes any sense. Like I learned it from experiencing it. And now I'm putting the definitions to the experience. So now, like when I'm in a class, they're talking about, networking, and they talk about this and how you can do this. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Yeah, that's exactly what I did, in my early 20s when I had this experience. So I put an experience with the definitions that I'm learning now, which is kind of cool, because some of the kids that are in my classes, they're young. I'm 42, and some of these kids are like, 19, 20 years old. And they are learning all this stuff. And so they're learning this stuff that I'm learning now, but they're going to have to wait and then go get the experiences. So I think it's, I don't know if there's a right way of doing it, but at least for me, the way that I'm doing it makes a lot of sense. Kind of wish I would have went to school earlier, but the way it's working out right now is kind of cool. So, let's jump into a few more comments. Brett, it seems companies are putting more value on real world experiences than a degree in the field that most don't apply. Yeah, I would have to agree with that. Which is interesting because I think it's kind of like a season. It's like seasonal, because I remember back in the day when they said you got to have a degree. You got to go get your degree. All you need is a degree. And then people go out and get the degree, and then once they get the degree, they go in and they're like, "Hey, I got my degree," and they're like, "Yeah, well, you don't really have any experience." And it's like, well, what do you like? How am I supposed to get the experience if I spent the last 5 years getting the degree? So I mean, I guess if you can, if you, it must be extremely difficult to get the degree and the experience at the same time. It can be done. I'm assuming, but I'm sure it's not the easiest road to go down. But I think it also has to do with what field you're going into. So if you're going into a certain field that requires a lot more education uh, versus the hands-on stuff, uh, I think that that might, like I said, like the degree and the experience are important. Maybe in certain fields, one is a little bit more important than the other. Uh, I think we'd have to look at different examples of that. Um, my buddy Matt, good to see you again. Um, Something to be said using your own money for the education you really wanted. That's very true. Um, yeah, absolutely. I think I know a few people that right out of high school went to college because mom and dad were paying for it, and they were 18 years old. I'm not going to name names because I'm just not. but but I remember some of those people are they have this bachelor's degree in whatever, and they're not using it. And maybe that has to do with because didn't they didn't pay for it themselves. Maybe it didn't mean a lot. Maybe they're just down and that's not the field that they wanted to go into ultimately. But I think you're definitely right when it comes to when you use your money, your hard-earned money, to put that into something, and you know that that's something that you want to do. I definitely agree with that. Mr. Herrera, how are you, sir? Good to see you on here, man. Social social interpersonal skills are what is needed in addition to knowledge and experience. Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Herrera is a principal or uh, I can't remember, principal or a dean or a president or I don't know what's brother. What's your job title, my friend? I can't remember. But I know that you are definitely in a lot of education. I think I think if I'm not mistaken, we played at your school for something. I can't remember what the event was, but it was a while back. Yes, you are. He's a principal. Um, and it's funny because I've met a lot of educators throughout my career. My career as a musician, I've actually met an awful lot of people in so many different walks of life, that's the fun part of this podcast, is being able to sit down with people that and who are professionals in their field and kind of just learn about it. Maybe it's not for everyone. Maybe everyone doesn't want to know what it's like to be a I don't know, a sound engineer. But I think it's interesting, so I'd like to sit down with someone. I've got a few people lined up that are it's going to be some fun stuff in the next couple weeks. So definitely looking forward to that. But yeah, I would have to agree that work experience versus traditional education. I think a lot of them are they're both important. So the interpersonal skills, absolutely, Mr. Herrera. I know that that for sure is something that I learned in Katie Brunt's class, the interpersonal communications. Uh, I know I didn't learn a whole lot, but I did learn that because there's the body language, there's the communication, there's the um uh interpretation is massive. I think interpretation is one of the biggest things that if people would ask more questions, I think that there would be less misunderstandings, and people wouldn't get so heated all the time. It, like if something happens and you might interpret it a certain way, but that might not be the way that they were trying to get their point across, if that makes any sense. But yeah, so let's jump back into this. Okay, awesome. Well, you know what? That was literally um, what I wanted to speak about tonight. Tonight was just more of an interactive podcast where I get a chance to drink a beer, hang out in the bedroom with the green screen, and get a chance to connect with all of you guys out there. And once again, I really really appreciate all the support that you guys show for myself, for the podcast, for the 5 Foot Viking. Definitely look forward to getting some merchandise out there and helping with supporting the channel so I can kind of do some bigger things. I loved the podcast that I did last week with the live venue. It sure was a lot of fun, and I would love to do that again. With that being said, join me next week, same time, same channel, YouTube and Facebook at 7 p.m. going live. And you can always go to the 5footviking.com and you can listen to past podcasts. You can do stuff on it, listen to it on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts and all the good stuff there. So yes, I love that, Bill. You absolutely. We need to get you to 1,000 subscribers so you can start getting ad revenue on YouTube. To be honest, I really don't know how to market myself on YouTube. I'm learning about that right now. So I definitely want to keep it going, see what we can do. So to be honest, any of you guys that are watching right now, if you could, if you could maybe share the podcast or share the page, tag some friends in it, something like that. If we can help get the word out about the 5 Foot Viking, I'm looking forward. I'm actually looking for a Viking historian that I can have on the podcast, and we can literally go down the rabbit hole about real Vikings and what's going on. So, I mean, I've got so many great ideas that are coming. But yeah, we got to build this page, and I can't do it without your help. So if you guys are out there, if you can tag some friends, share the page. It really does mean a lot to me. So thank you in advance for your help. Skull, everybody at home. That's a good beer. And yeah, I think this is how you end it. Is this how you end it? This is how you